You didn't land on this video by accident. Something within you, call it intuition, higher consciousness, or just a deep inner nudge, brought you here. And once you finish watching, you'll start to realize exactly why. Maybe lately, life has felt overwhelming. Like you're caught in a whirlwind of uncertainty, chaos, challenges that don't seem to have any clear purpose. But what if all of that, yes, the confusion, the discomfort, even the pain, isn't a sign that things are falling apart, but that they're finally falling into place? What if it's the universe preparing you for something bigger, something more aligned, more powerful, more you? You see, the universe never screams at first. It whispers. It taps you gently before it pushes. It gives you subtle signs, signals, and nudges before a major shift comes. And sadly, most people miss those signs. They misinterpret them as misfortune. They think they're cursed, unlucky, or just not cut out for more. And right when they're closest to the breakthrough, they quit. But not you. You're here. And that alone means you're already different. You're paying attention. You're ready. Today, I want to walk you through 7 signs that you're about to enter the most powerful, meaningful, and transformative stage of your life. And if even just a few of these resonate with you, buckle up. Because your new reality is already unfolding. Sign number 1. You've started questioning everything you thought you knew. Lately, have you caught yourself wondering, what do I really believe? What do I actually want? Am I even on the right path? That's not just random overthinking. That's your soul waking up. It's the beginning of an inner revolution. You're not losing your mind. You're shedding old beliefs, the ones that were never truly yours to begin with. Beliefs handed to you by parents, culture, school, society. It's as if the mental foundation you've always relied on is starting to shake. And yeah, it's uncomfortable. But that discomfort? That's sacred. That's the invitation. That's the call to dismantle everything that no longer aligns with who you actually are. This isn't a breakdown. This is an awakening. And when you start questioning your world, your relationships, your purpose, you're not falling off track. You're finally stepping on it. You're not lost. You're just breaking free from the illusions. And that's exactly what has to happen before something new and beautiful can emerge. Because here's the truth. Certainty can be a cage. It keeps us locked into outdated versions of ourselves. But when the questions come, and you really start to listen to them, what you're doing is cracking the shell, making space for expansion. Questions like, who am I, really? What am I here to do? What kind of life would actually fulfill me? These aren't just deep thoughts. They're doorways, and once you walk through them, your old life won't feel like home anymore. And that's okay. Suddenly, everything that used to feel normal now seems strange. Things that once brought comfort now feel empty. Familiar routines become suffocating. People you used to vibe with now seem out of sync. It's disorienting, yes, but it's also necessary. What's happening is that your soul is upgrading. It's filtering out anything that no longer serves the future version of you. It's like an internal detox. And yes, this part hurts. Letting go always does, because we attach so deeply to our comfort zones, even when those zones are built on pain or mediocrity. But those were just tools for a former version of you. Now, that version is dissolving, and something greater is stepping forward. You may already be sensing it. That low, buzzing feeling in your chest. A subtle, rising energy. Fear, yes, but also excitement. Like something huge is coming. That's not your imagination. That's real. That's your intuition signaling that you're crossing into a new frequency, one that matches who you were meant to become. Think of it like this. You're pulling weeds from a garden. It looks messy, but it's the only way to make space for something to bloom. And here's where the shift gets even more magical. Once you start aligning with this new energy, the universe responds. Not with fireworks, not with lightning bolts, but with subtle confirmations. A random stranger says something that speaks directly to your situation. A book ends up in your hands with the exact message you needed. A chance meeting unlocks an opportunity you weren't even looking for. None of it's random. Every one of those is a breadcrumb, a sign, a wink from the universe saying, yes, keep going, and no, you won't have all the answers yet, but you'll feel it. A deep, intuitive knowing that you're on the right path, because the very act of questioning is transformation. It's not weakness, it's wisdom, real wisdom, the kind that emerges when you stop faking it, when you start listening to yourself, to your soul, and to the signs. And as that internal alignment grows stronger, your outer world begins to shift, too. Not because the world changed, but because you did. You raised your frequency. You reclaimed your voice. You finally started living in truth. So if things feel confusing right now, good. That's part of it. Transformation always begins with discomfort. Every revolution starts with chaos. But what you're doing isn't breaking down. It's breaking open. You're not falling apart. You're falling into place. Sign number 2. You feel a growing disconnection from your past. This one's big, and you'll recognize it not in dramatic moments, but in subtle feelings. The stuff that once brought joy or excitement now feels flat. Old habits feel dull. Favorite places feel distant. Certain people feel like strangers. You look at the world around you, and it's like you're wearing new eyes. What once energized you now feels like a memory. Like you're looking at someone else's life. It's not depression. It's not indifference. It's evolution. You're shifting. Energetically, emotionally, spiritually. And that shift creates distance. Not because your past was wrong, but because it no longer fits. The emotions that once fueled your actions are fading, and what's replacing them? A quiet inner knowing that you're being pulled towards something new. It's like your soul has outgrown its old skin. You can't force yourself to care about the same things. You can't fake the same conversations. You can't make yourself light up in situations that no longer reflect who you are. And yes, it's confusing, sometimes even lonely. But it's also necessary. That disconnection is the space where something new can take root. Think of it as a blank canvas. You're not erasing your past. You're making room for what's next. What you're experiencing is sacred. It's life pruning away the unnecessary to make room for deeper meaning. Even if it doesn't make sense yet, something inside you knows. The old chapter is closing, and a new one is about to begin. This stage of disconnection can feel like a no man's land. You're no longer who you were, but you're not yet fully who you're becoming. And that in-between space, that's where your transformation is brewing. The job you once poured your energy into no longer feels fulfilling. Social circles that used to feel like home now feel draining. Routines that brought stability now feel like cages. And this shift doesn't mean something's wrong. It means something's changing. Here's the truth. Not everything or everyone is meant to go with you into your next chapter. And that's okay. This disconnection isn't punishment. It's preparation. You're being guided away from the things that don't align with your growth anymore. Not out of spite or bitterness, but out of necessity. Your soul is making space for something that matches your next level. It's like a clearing in the forest. For a while it looks empty, but soon enough, that space becomes fertile ground for new life. New passions, new relationships, new experiences that actually reflect who you really are now. Even if it feels uncertain, even if you can't explain it to anyone, it's real. And beneath that disconnection, deeper shifts are happening. Your beliefs are evolving. You're starting to question ideas you've held on to for years, maybe even your whole life. Ideas about success, about love, about who you are and what you deserve. You realize that some of these beliefs weren't even yours to begin with. They were absorbed, passed down, conditioned, normalized. But now they don't feel true. And your soul won't let you ignore that anymore. The version of you that accepted those limits no longer exists. You're evolving. And with that evolution comes a deep desire to step into something more. You don't know what it looks like yet, but you feel it. You can sense it. There's a pull, an urgency to grow, to explore, to become. But as this internal shift accelerates, fear starts creeping in. The fear of letting go. The fear of not knowing what's next. The fear of leaving behind what's familiar. And yet, hand in hand with that fear, comes something even stronger. Guidance. You stop looking outward for direction. You begin turning inward. You begin trusting that inner whisper, that nudge, that silent voice that's been there all along. That's your soul speaking. And once you start listening, everything changes. The noise of the world begins to fade. The need for approval, the urge to keep up, the addiction to certainty, all of it starts losing its grip. You stop trying to fit into an outdated version of yourself. You stop clinging to the past. And instead, you open up to possibility. You allow yourself to become new. You allow yourself to outgrow what no longer fits. You begin stepping into a version of you that's more whole, more honest, more alive. And that brings us to the third sign. You start to question what you once thought was important. There's a shift in values, and it's not subtle. You begin to look at your life and think, why did I care so much about that? Maybe it's how people perceive you. Maybe it's chasing certain milestones. Maybe it's the need to prove something to someone else. Whatever it is, it starts to lose its power over you. Things you used to obsess about, success, money, image, now feel secondary. Not because they don't matter, but because they no longer define your worth. This reevaluation can feel disorienting at first. It's like you've stepped out of the matrix and you're seeing through the illusion. You realize that a lot of what you were chasing wasn't you. It was programming. It was pressure. It was survival. But now you're waking up. And when you do, you begin to feel drawn towards something deeper, something more meaningful. You start asking yourself, what kind of impact do I want to make? What kind of life feels true to me, not just impressive on the outside? That's where the real shift happens. Because when you let go of the need to follow society's definition of success, you start writing your own. And yes, this might come with a period of loneliness. You might start feeling like you don't belong anywhere, like you're floating between old circles and new spaces that haven't formed yet. That's natural. It's part of the rewiring process. Don't fight it. That loneliness, it's fertile ground. It gives you the space to hear yourself clearly, without the noise of other people's expectations. And over time, that space gets filled again. But this time, with the right people, the right energy, the right path. You begin to attract relationships, communities, and opportunities that actually resonate with your truth. The fourth sign. You feel more connected to your intuition than ever before. This isn't about logic, it's about alignment. Your inner compass, the quiet knowing inside you, starts to get louder. clearer, more trustworthy. You begin to feel things before they happen. You sense when something is right or wrong before there's any evidence. It's like your internal GPS has been activated. You might notice it in small ways at first. A gut feeling that keeps you from making a bad decision. A sense of peace when you walk away from something toxic. A whisper that tells you, this is it, when something aligns. This awakening of intuition doesn't come all at once. It grows. It strengthens as you create space for it. And the more you honor it, the more it guides you. You stop second-guessing yourself. You stop needing constant validation. You start moving from a place of inner certainty, even when the outside world doesn't understand. And here's the most powerful part. When you follow your intuition, life starts to flow. You begin to see connections you couldn't see before. Events that once seemed random start forming a pattern. Coincidences turn into synchronicities, and you get this subtle, constant feeling. I'm in the right place. I'm doing the right thing. I may not know where it leads, but I trust the process. That trust becomes your new foundation, and that foundation leads to sign number 5. Fifth sign. You feel a deep hunger for growth. This is the fire within you that refuses to go out. You're not satisfied with just coasting anymore. You don't want to just exist. You want to evolve. You want to stretch. You want to become more. And no, it's not coming from insecurity. It's coming from potential. You begin craving knowledge, wisdom, new experiences. You find yourself reading more, listening more, asking deeper questions. You're drawn to mentors, ideas, philosophies, and practices that push you forward. You stop running from challenges and start seeking them. You welcome discomfort. Because you understand that growth only comes when you step outside what's familiar. And here's what's wild. This desire for growth isn't just mental. It's emotional. It's spiritual. You want to heal. You want to understand your past. You want to unlearn patterns that no longer serve you. You start releasing old stories. You start forgiving. You start breaking cycles, not just for yourself, but for the generations that came before you and the ones that'll come after. You're not just learning, you're transforming. And as you go deeper into this journey, you begin to attract others who are doing the same. People who speak your new language. People who challenge you, inspire you, help you grow. The old version of you needed approval. The new version, it needs authenticity. You're no longer searching for meaning out there. You're cultivating it in here. You're not just asking, how do I survive? You're asking, how do I expand? Sixth sign. You're feeling a powerful urge to break free from toxic relationships and stagnant situations. This isn't just about people. It's about anything. Jobs, habits, mindsets that drains your energy, clouds your peace, or keeps you small. And suddenly, you can't unsee it. What you used to tolerate now feels unbearable. What you once justified now feels like self-betrayal. It's like you've woken up from a long sleep and realized, wait, this isn't right. This isn't me. The clarity is sharp. The feeling is undeniable. Something inside you refuses to keep shrinking just to stay comfortable. You're no longer available for one-sided relationships, for environments that suffocate your soul, for expectations that force you to play a role. You've simply outgrown it, and that growth demands release. But here's the thing. Choosing yourself can feel heavy at first. You might feel guilty. You might question your loyalty. But self-respect isn't selfish. Walking away from what hurts you isn't abandonment. It's alignment. You are finally understanding that your peace matters, that your energy is precious, that your heart deserves to be protected, not manipulated, drained, or minimized. Letting go is not about resentment. It's about truth. You're learning that not everything broken can or should be fixed. Some things need to be released so you can breathe again, so you can rise. This is a sacred turning point. You're not cutting people off because you're angry. You're choosing peace because you're healing. You're prioritizing your mental and emotional well-being because you value yourself now. And as you do this, something incredible happens. You begin to attract new connections. People who see you, who hear you, who meet you with the same energy you've been giving to others. Relationships that are rooted in growth, respect, and authenticity. You begin to realize you don't have to settle. Not in love, not in work, not in life. This is more than just a phase. It's a rebirth. You're not being dramatic. You're being honest. And your honesty is opening the door to a life that actually reflects your worth. Because the truth is, you can't build a future that's aligned with who you're becoming if you're still anchored to the past. So if you're walking away right now, good. You're clearing space. And what comes next is going to blow your mind. Seventh and final sign. You begin to feel disconnected from everything that no longer aligns with your evolution. This isn't like the earlier disconnection from your past. This goes deeper. It starts to touch everything. Social media, entertainment, small talk, shallow goals. They all start to feel empty, like noise, like distraction. Even the environments you once loved, your home, your favorite spots, certain crowds, begin to feel distant, almost foreign. Not because they're bad, but because you've changed. And let's be clear, your past wasn't a mistake. It served you. It shaped you. But now you're shedding that version of yourself. You're stepping out of that identity because it no longer fits the person you're becoming. And yes, it's uncomfortable. You might feel like a stranger in your own life. But that feeling isn't something to fear. It's something to honor. It means you're in the process of recalibrating, rebuilding, realigning. You're creating a life that feels like home again. Only this time, it's based on who you really are, not who you had to be. The things that once pulled at your attention now barely register. Old fears begin to dissolve. Constant worry starts to fade. The external pressure loses its power over you. And in the silence that follows, there's peace. A peace you didn't know you were capable of. A peace that doesn't come from things going right, but from finally being right within yourself. You're not just disconnecting, you're redefining. You're learning how to move through life without needing validation, without needing to perform, without needing to apologize for wanting more. You're honoring what feels true. And that's where the real power lies. This isn't about having all the answers. This is about making space for better questions. Questions that bring clarity, that bring healing, that bring freedom. You might find yourself drawn to more solitude, to nature, to art, to anything that makes you feel present again. These aren't random pulls. They're signs that you're reconnecting with your essence. That sacred silence you're experiencing, that's your soul breathing. That's your intuition growing stronger. That's the universe showing you what really matters. And here's what's wild. When you start aligning internally, the world around you shifts to meet that frequency. It's like the fog clears, and life begins to flow in ways you couldn't have planned, but always hoped were possible. You meet people who feel like soul family. You stumble upon opportunities that align perfectly. You receive signs at just the right time, and you realize, this is what it feels like to live awake, to live on purpose, to live in truth. You stop surviving and start thriving, because when you choose yourself, fully, unapologetically, the universe meets you with that same energy. Every single time. So, If you're experiencing these signs right now, hear this. You're not broken. You're becoming. You're not lost. You're releasing the path that was never meant for you. You're not falling apart. You're awakening to the most extraordinary, powerful, and purposeful chapter of your life. This is your evolution. This is your turning point, and it's only just begun. Stay open, stay grounded, and most of all, trust the process, because your soul knows the way.